Guys, Mark Goldberg here from Mark Vlogs Watches with a quick word for your friend and mine, ArchieLuxury, Paul Pluta, AC3, Archibald Chesterfield III. You know, he invented the quick wristwatch check, and the rest of us on YouTube, well, we just stole it. Help keep Archie full-time on YouTube by liking this video, watching this video, tell your fuckhead friends, and make sure to subscribe to his Patreon. And now, ArchieLuxury.
Hi guys, Archie Luxury on the Archie Luxury channel. Today guys, what am I wearing? What wristwatch am I wearing indeed? Well, I've got to be honest with you, I've actually been going backwards and forwards with two watches. I've been going backwards and forwards with my Rolex Explorer 2 Polar and my Patek Philippe Calatrava 5127. Okay, that's the wristwatch check done. Let's talk about today's topic, which is the secondary watch market. Now, I want to make this video because a lot of brands out there really despise, hate the secondary market. Secondary market is the used market. And I've got to be completely frank and honest with you. The secondary market is incredibly important to the first market. That's correct. If you do not have a secondary market, the first market, the retail situation will really suffer. A few case in points. Have a look at Panerai. And Panerai is a brand which is owned by the Richemont juggernaut. And Richemont's really hated the secondary market. Richemont has wanted to make the absolute cream out of all the watches and not really support the secondary market. When the subject of fake Panerais reared its ugly head, instead of Panerai saying, hey, we're more than happy to authenticate your PAM, Richemont's answer was to say that always ensure you buy a PAM from a authorized Panerai dealer or boutique, which kind of slapped in the face for the secondary market. And I think this was a grave mistake. If Richemont had have grabbed this opportunity, they would understand that if you don't have a secondary market, your first market pretty well is going to suffer. Some examples of this, if we look at the industry, the revered Patek Philippe in the last 30 years there started to buy vintage pieces themselves for their Patek Philippe museum. And this kind of said, hey, hang on a minute, there is a value to used Patek Philippe's. They were quite valuable. And not only did Patek buying key premium pieces boost the market, but it put a lot of attention on the spotlight. It put the brand into the spotlight, and it in many ways it helped with sales of new Patek Philippe's. And it's quite fascinating. Patek Philippe is a brand who has really they've in many ways they've realized the importance to the secondary market. For example, with Patek Philippe, the mantra is they're able to service any watch that they've made. And that obviously, of course, you know, there is a proviso that you're going to damn well pay for it, but they can service every piece that their house has produced. Whereas you look at a company like, say, Rolex, which has said, hey, once it gets to a certain age, well, we can't really help you because we don't have parts. Now, Rolex has kind of defied the trend there because Rolex is it's one of this huge charitable trust which doesn't need to make money for the sake of profit. It just gets bigger and bigger. And even though Rolex has really committed a lot of sins as far as the secondary market, Rolex doesn't really like the secondary market. Rolex has really prospered because of the secondary market. And you look at many of the pieces today that are in high demand, there's a long history of these pieces. You know, some makers themselves they want to scoop up all the profit themselves. Enzo Ferrari, the head of Ferrari, famously, you know, he really didn't, he was really angered the secondary market collector cars. Somebody could make more money out of the car than he did. He was a bit of a greedy little fucker. And many watch companies are like that. And without secondary market, the brand can really suffer greatly. And I think in many ways there, the prestigious brands need to realize, doesn't matter how pompy or prestigious you are, you really do need to make sure there is a secondary market there. In recent years, this has echoed through people in the Holy Trinity. These are the three key high-end brands: Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, and Vacheron Constantin. Vacheron has started their Histories program, where you can buy vintage Vacherons from the New York boutique. And Audemars Piguet has floated the idea of selling second-hand Audemars Piguets. So we'll wait and see what happens to this. But the brand that ignores the secondary market really is a brand that can suffer hugely. I think the arrogance of your Richemonts with Panerai is an example of what happens when you see the secondary market as a nuisance. And it's in many ways there. I think a lot of the brands have not realized how important the secondary market. It's the supply and demand. I mean, if you buy a timepiece, you buy a Rolex, and you're able to, you've bought a steel sports Rolex, and when it comes to, inevitably you would sell it to buy the next piece, and you get most of your money back. And that contrasts to, say, that Breitling Super Ocean you bought, where the sexy sales assistant who suckered you in, you realize you've halved your money. So in many ways, it also, if you get burnt, it means your next purchase, well, you're less likely to buy another Breitling, you're more likely to buy another Rolex. And this is what happens if the secondary market is not looked after. So I think in many ways there, the secondary market is very much an important element. And if manufacturers ignore the importance of this, like Richemont did with Panerai, you can fuck up a brand. So it's a very, very complicated situation. So the secondary market, if people cannot get most of their money back, or a fair percentage of their money back, they're going to be angry and disappointed. Brands that spring to mind in recent times is your Breitlings, your IWCs. They've really, your Panerais have all suffered because of this. And there's no easy way or nice way to say it, but if the brand doesn't have a good secondary value, it makes it very tough in the first market. So I think this is something the manufacturers really need to look at and see what they do for the brand. And very, very interesting situation indeed. Very interesting situation. We're coming through a hard time. The world is very, very tough. And at the moment, besides Rolex and Patek Philippe, the rest of the market is pretty tough. So we'll see how this pans out in the coming year. I'm Archibald Chesterfield III. This has been a look at the importance of the secondary market. Tell me what you think. If you think I'm right, put some comments below. If you think I'm completely off the caper, please also put some comments down below. I'm Paul Pluta. Until the next one, see you next time, fuckers.
Oh. Hey Archie Luxury fans, if you're into luxury, then you gotta be into 66 Buick Rivieras. Check out my son and I, Alex, as we restore this beautiful 66 Buick.
Neighbors are having a picnic, you know, having fun and stuff. Me, I'm doing cars. It's what I've done my whole life.
Was a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. I think it's all angels just walk by. 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 There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there